Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. Make sure you start every single day with PJ's. And if you're going there, drive there in a car you buy from Matt Bowers. He's got you set with all your pre-owned cars, all your new cars, any type of car, any type of dealership, anything you want. Matt can get you. He'll get you the best prices, best customer care, the best car buying experience that you can have. Make sure you check out Matt at one of his many locations, home of the lifetime warranty. All right, B, what we got?
We got our first topic presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Nick, schedule a release day. This is the steps to see who the Saints will be playing and when they will be playing. We already know who they'll be playing, but optimism kind of about this season. There's some more hope now that the slate is kind of cleared at quarterback. But what is a realistic amount of winnable games for the Saints this season? Just to go through their home and away schedule. At home, of course, you have the NFC South, but then you have the Arizona Cardinals, the San Francisco 49ers, the New England Patriots, the New York Jets, and the New York Giants. And away, you have the NFC South again, of course. And then you have the Buffalo Bills, the Los Angeles Rams, the Miami Dolphins, the Seattle Seahawks, the Chicago Bears, and the Tennessee Titans.
It's a good question. It's a great question, actually. Let's start with the road games. I mean, I don't think they beat the Bills. Could beat Chicago. Probably not the Rams. Probably not Miami. Seattle's a maybe, but it's a long way to go. I'll give
Yeah.
them the Titans, so two, and then give me Panthers, I guess.
Okay.
So I'm at like three right there. We'll go the other direction on the divisional games, so we'll take it up to five. Five or six. Five or
Okay.
six, I think. Yeah, I mean, there's winnable games, really. Like you could go through here individually in a vacuum and be like, yeah, they can beat the Patriots. Yeah, they can beat the Jets. Yeah, they can beat the Giants. But they aren't going to win all those games. Yeah, they
Yeah.
can beat the Titans. Yeah, they can beat the Bears. So I'm going to say five or six. I think five's been the number that I've been really kind of comfortable with. If the O line's good, Banks is good, Fuaga's good, Penning's serviceable, and Chuck is okay under pressure. I mean, I'm above that five, but there's just too much unknown with the. I mean, we're
Yeah.
projecting just a pure projection at the most important position on the field, and it's impossible to say.
Yeah. I'm actually at four. I'm actually a little bit lower because of the amount of unknowns, but I think it's going to be an exciting four. And I think kind of a lot of these games are going to be exciting, but there's not going to be any just straight up, oh, I completely came in and dominated. I have Atlanta, Carolina, the Jets, and the Titans. Now, I have Chicago on here, but I took them off just because I think another year under Caleb Williams, they might be pretty good. He might live up to the hype at some point. It has to happen at some point. But yeah, I think I'm comfortable with saying 4 or 5. And I've been burned too many times to say 5. I can't even lie. I think that just that you just don't know. You don't know what the defense is going to look like, how it's going to meld all together. You don't know what the offense is going to look like. You don't know what the protection is going to look like. You just mentioned Banks. You don't know where he's going to be at. So I think it's just it's too early for me to go that high, and that's not even high.
Yeah, I don't know. My three most winnable games at home, probably Carolina, probably the Jets,
Hmm.
and I'll say Giants, but I could see them beating the Cardinals in week one because it's the
Okay.
week one game, the
Okay.
opener. They don't know what Kellen Moore is going to do yet. So I could see them beating the Cardinals in week one. Them road, I think Carolina remains the most winnable. Penix sucks. Like that changes the Falcons thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know yet. Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, obviously, and probably the Bears. I mean, I think those are probably the three most winnable road games.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely think there can be some surprises on this list.
Always is, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit later about like the matchups that just make you feel a little bit better. But the Saints' strength of schedule, based off of last season and everything like that, they're like the second easiest. So, do you think that like helps them a little bit going in there saying, "Oh, well, we should beat these guys," or is just a any given Sunday kind of mentality of just got to be ready?
Yeah, he's got to be ready. I mean, you got to be ready for every game. There's always games every year where it's like, wow, they beat like this team beat that team. Oh wow, the Giants beat them. There's
Yeah,
always that. Who did the Giants beat last year? Like there's always a game where it's like, you're just always surprised. So yeah, it's all those things, man. Like they're gonna win some games nobody expects them to win. I mean, it's just it's just the way it is. I mean, they'll probably beat the Bills and lose to the Titans. Like it's just stuff like that all the time.
Yeah, a huge flip flop right there. But that'll go into our next segment presented by Bobby Abear's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. You talk about the games that are kind of winnable and the games that are shocks and surprises. But for Kellen Moore, his first foray as a head coach, which games will show what he's made of?
I mean, the ones that are early in the season, I think are going to matter a lot because you're trying to get player buy-in and everything,
Yeah,
and you don't have to win the games. You don't. I think everyone's probably pretty logical. If a lot depends on quarterback, a lot depends on. I think all those guys know. But if you're going in there and it makes sense, and you have a plan, and people are bought in, and it
yeah,
makes sense, and they feel like you're giving them a chance to win, and they feel prepared, even if the result isn't there, it can be there. Remember Dan Campbell's first season with the
yeah,
Lions; they weren't a very good football team, but they felt like they had a chance every week. They were in games, they were prepared. They just didn't have enough talent. You can do that. It can be that, but you got to just make sure that you're putting the players in the best position. And I think if you're handling that early in the season, that helps a little bit later on. As far as what he's made of, I mean, it's a funny schedule. It's a funny schedule because I think there's really only two games on here where it feels like it's like a major title fight,
yeah,
and it's the Rams and the Bills. I think those are the two games where you're kind of in a measuring stick type of game. There isn't a great and powerful defense on here. The 49ers, if they get healthy, they could be a juggernaut again pretty quick. So maybe them. So there's maybe three games on here where I'm like, man, that's a huge measuring stick for him. Looking at it right now, things change during the season, but I'm not looking at the Jets. I'm not looking at the Giants. I'm not looking at the Pats. I'm not looking at Miami's not what they were. I'm not looking at Seattle like that. I mean, there just aren't a lot of those games on the schedule.
no, for sure, and I agree. And also to add on to that list, I think those divisional games have to be on there, and two of them in particular: the first game against Tampa Bay, and then the first game against the Falcons, because I mean, as we saw at the end of the what was that 2023 season when they went rogue and hit the goal line play with just not Justin Williams, I'm sorry, with Jamal Williams and Jameis Winston, and then at the end of that game, just the interaction between Dennis Allen and Arthur Smith, that kind of showed me something about DA where I was like, yo, you got to stand with your guys. Even if you go take them in the locker room and, go off on them on the field, you have to stand with them. So I think just seeing kind of what he's made of and how he approaches not that same exact situation, because I don't ever see that happen again, but just that divisional fire that, okay, we're supposed to beat you guys. You're our rivals. You're the guys that we really don't like. And we're going to show out and show up. Also on that list for me is when you start losing those skid of games, if that happens, how does the team respond to
Yeah.
that? How are you able to bounce back from that? Do you lose the locker room? You talked about the locker room early in the early buy-in. It's cool when you're 0-1. I mean, you don't like it, but 0-1, 0-2, 1-3, those type of things. But if you've gone on a skid, how do you get yourself out of that? How do you course correct and things like that? That's kind of what I'm looking for also.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the schedule, yeah, circumstantially, I think that's probably the biggest thing is figuring that out and making sure that you have that buy and you have the culture, all that stuff. Yeah, handling the skids and all that. We saw it last year. I mean, it just
Yeah.
started happening, and the weight of that year after year, and you're coming in, you're trying to have a fresh start. I mean, there is going to be some residual feelings of that
Yeah.
if you end up in the same place. Some of the vets I've been talking to already, I mean, they're looking at it. Oh man, it better not be like last year. Da da da. And it's just like, fellas, like
Yeah.
you see the quarterback just retired,
Yeah.
but that's where they're at. So again, I think it's though it's really more about feeling like you have a puncher's chance. And I think a lot of times last year they felt unprepared. They felt like they didn't have the best plans to be in position to succeed both sides of the ball. And obviously before that offensively, like I feel like they didn't really feel like they were in a great position. I think defensively it just kind of eroded. The
Yeah.
plans were probably fine, but I think when you start losing and things aren't working and the talent isn't there and you're just on this like multi-year skid, you kind of start getting there. But defensively, like there was starting to be some frustrations last year. I still think he knows how to coach defense, but offensively, yeah, they just were never really in a great place. The thing is, though, is I think the offense is almost like completely reset. It's kind of crazy that like Olave is like one of the veteran players on that
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
Him and Alvin are kind of it. But yeah, it's definitely going to be about how you handle stuff like that.
No, for sure. It's funny because last year it got to the point where it was the break glass in case of emergency. All right, now I got to pull Rizzy out, the people's champ, to have everybody reinvigorated and juiced up. You don't have that this year. You just have to go straight up off of kind of how this team is going to be built. But we talked about Kellen Moore and showing what he's made of. I think this also kind of serves as an audition for Brandon Staley once again to kind of get back into those head coaching circles, maybe down the line. So some of those offensive matchups against him, like you kind of wrote Seattle off, but in those terms, in that lens, I think Seattle is going to be an important game just to see what he does against Kubiak.
Yeah, well, every game is going to be important for him, man. Like
Yeah,
he's trying to be he is trying to be a head coach again. I mean, I think those are his aspirations. I think he wants to get back there, and it's important, and I think it would be either way. But yeah, everything's important for him. I think building this thing up. I don't think you come out of the gates though and have a ton of success. I don't know what
yeah,
Seattle's going to be. I wrote it off as like a headline game. I mean, but like Sam Darnold, Kubiak, yeah. I mean, it matters a little bit, I guess. I mean, they're just so talent deficient on that side of the ball. Like if they don't get Asante Samuel Jr., and I think they will, I think that one's been written in the stars since the beginning of the offseason, but there just isn't that defense does not have talent right now. And
yeah.
they got to prove it. They got to prove they do. Like if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, fine. But I don't see the talent really in the defensive line. I'm really, really concerned about cornerback across the board. I think there's a lot to prove there. Safety is really in linebacker or middle linebacker, the only two positions I feel good about on that side of the ball. But it's incredibly important for Staley. He's on that rehab tour that DA was on. Except I think he comes in here with a little bit of a stronger resume as a head coach than DA did. Like they actually made the playoffs and
Yeah.
kind of had won games. He was more of a 500 coach there. Da was way lower when he came in, but absolutely, incredibly important for him to just kind of take advantage of every single opportunity. The big games for him, it's like he shows out against the Bills or
Yeah.
the Rams. I think you kind of you're starting off on the right foot, but I think it's a multi. I don't think Staley's back in those ranks quick. Like I think it's a multi-year trajectory for him.
Yeah, for sure. And you talked about you just hinted at those two heavyweight titles against the Rams and the Bills. Out of those two, which one do you think they have the most likelihood to win?
probably, probably, probably neither one. Probably
Yeah.
neither one. Maybe the Rams because maybe Stafford's hurt or something. So we'll go Rams on
I
that
don't
one.
know,
But
man. Every time we go out to LA, like covering the team, it's just like it feels like a complete different tier of ball just being played. In all honesty,
yeah,
so I don't know. We'll have to see. But you brought up something interesting with Chris Olave saying how he's now one of the veterans on the offense. I was kind of in my head, just kind of going through which players have the most potential on this team currently constructed to be in the GO conversation for the Saints, like a Saints all time great and a Saints all time player. And Chris is really one of the only people that I could think of this quickly. Besides, like, Eric McCoy probably can end up on that list too. But kind of where do you think that's at on the offensive side of the ball?
greats.
Yeah. Yeah. Who can be an all time great
I
for
mean,
the,
besides
for the,
Alvin,
Of course, Alvin. I had him already in there, but I'm talking about like the younger kind of tier player.
I don't think there's anyone on that path right now. Honestly, I don't
Okay.
think there is. I mean, I think a lot of people got a lot to prove. Chris has missed too many games so far.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think he has the talent and the ability. He starts catching passes where he's not in position to get concussed repeatedly. I think that kind of helps, quite a bit. But
Yeah.
um, he's got the talent to do it. Shaheed, he's been hurt too much. And then outside of that, who is there right now? There just really isn't anyone on the team that's like clearly doing it on that like all-time great scale. I think Chris obviously has the talent to end up being one of the better receivers on the team. But I also look at him and it's like, man, if like they aren't a great offense this year, why is he staying? Like
Also true.
I
Yeah.
have trouble projecting his future being here. If I were as it stands now, things could
Yeah.
change drastically over the next 2 years. Shuck could be the truth. Offense is great. Kellen Moore's a genius. you're on a path, you're getting 13, 1400 yards. I think that's the type of player he can be. Like, if you're actually doing that here and they're winning games, yeah. But right now, as we sit today, year 3 into it, if I'm him, I'm telling him to, if I'm his advisor, I'm his agent,
Yeah.
I'm Zeke, I'm Josh, I'm, whoever. Like, I'd be telling him, hey, look, like, just go get with a different, go to Buffalo, like, go do this, go do that, like that's what I would be telling him to do.
Yeah.
So I can't even really see his future being here right now, because I don't think it's, as it sits today, it's not in his best interest. And yeah, I just I don't think they got anyone right now that's scratching that tier. That's in that category. McCoy obviously has a ton of talent. Maybe Banks gets there, maybe Fuaga gets there, but like none of them have done anything that makes me say, like, they're up there with Colston. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see it right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, even when you said Alvin's name, I was like, well, he's already the all-time leading rusher for the team, so that's already
Yeah.
in there. You know what I mean? It's a guaranteed, it's a lock. But those other players, you just don't know. It's too early to tell, or the scenario isn't right for them to completely flourish to their highest ability. It's a lot of unknowns. But one more game before we hit this break, the New England game. I think we haven't really talked about it enough because it's kind of a window into the future, kind of for this what this team can be. The new coach with a quarterback with another, solid receiver around him. Drake May, he now has Stephon Diggs, but a defensive piece. It kind of can be maybe what the Saints can look like next year.
Patriots got to hope they look like what they look like this year. Like, it's not. I don't know that they're the model yet. They just fired their coach. They got a new coach. I mean,
Yeah,
it's hopeful, but these things have gone sideways before. So
yeah,
hopefully they figure it out. Hopefully they get it going. But I don't know that They could be good, but I'm not projecting great things for them right now. I think they got a ton to prove. But yeah, if you're in that position coming in the next offseason that they're in, it feels like they're in that realm. It feels like they're supposed to be that team, but they got a lot to prove.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna hit a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have more show. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store.
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide flavored whiskey, Ponchatoula strawberry, and Chilton County peaches in your favorite bars, stores, and restaurants. Hardhide Chilton County peach whiskey is a blend of aged wheat whiskey, light American whiskey, and fresh Chilton County peaches from Alabama's Durbin Family Farms. And Hardhide strawberry whiskey tells the story of a small town famous for strawberry farming. A delicious natural strawberry infused 86 proof whiskey for whiskey lovers. Just look for the red and orange bottles in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants.
Welcome back for more NewOrleans.Football. It is now time for our next segment presented by Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Nick, continuing with the schedule talk, which one-on-one matchups are you most excited for in this upcoming season?
Well, coming right out the gate, I mean, I think seeing Kyler week one, just seeing how he's going to do is going to be interesting. I mean, they've had issues against that type of quarterback forever. Then just finding out if this defense is better against it right off rip, I mean, I think is going to be really, really interesting. So I got that one at the top of my list. I think that's my top pick. What's yours?
I have the secondary versus Malik Neighbors. to get a real accurate look at kind of what that looks like against one of the. I mean, right now I have him in the top 12, top 10 of receivers in the league just to see what Kool-Aid and Lalonte can do. Still don't know what that configuration is going to look like with adding Ike Ottom and everything back in there. But last year they played against him. He was hurt. They had Drew Lock in there at quarterback. So now with whether that's Russ, Jameis, Jackson Dart, even Tommy DeVito, somebody better than Drew Lock to see what that looks like and to see what that matchup looks like. I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, any of them guys that they're getting put up against and just being able to see if they cover. I mean, that's going to be the story at the beginning of the season, whatever the schedule ends up looking like, and that's going to define everything. You know, whoever the best pass rushers are, both whoever, like
Yeah.
throw them on the list. Let's see what these guys can do at tackle or possibly at guard if Banks is playing inside. You know, the Rams got some good interior rushers. Just those blocking matchups, I think, are going to be the other thing beyond the secondary that kind of define what the team is now and, you know, also into the future. Like if these guys can block and they can stay on the field,
Yeah.
everything becomes so much easier going forward.
Now, also on that list for me, I have a battle of two first-time head coaches and Kellen Moore's offense against Aaron Glenn's defense. You know, earlier this offseason, I was really wanting AG to get the head coaching job down here, but he went to the New York Jets, and I was like, okay, sold on Kellen Moore because of the, you know, offensive bravado that he comes with. So to see those two going against each other, I think will be pretty exciting to just see kind of what both of them are made of, in all honesty, as their first-time head coaches.
It's going to be spicier than it should be. Major takes are going to be formed off this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not going to mean anything, but it's going to be like that. The Kubiak game too is going to fall into that same basket. So
Yeah. Also, J.C. Horn, he's now the highest paid defensive back in the NFL. So I want to see what the wide receivers do against him, how they go at that, how they attack him. They've taken him to task a couple times over the past couple of seasons, but I want to see if that continues. It was Chris's last time in Carolina where he had that big concussion, and then he got fired out there. So I kind of want to see what the resilience and shakeback is over there.
yeah, that's a good one. Another great one. You know, Tyreek, is he going to be on Miami this year? I know he's trying to get his way out of there. We'll see how that one kind of plays out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great one for like everybody across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably about the list. I mean, Bijan, I want to see how they do against him in the run defense. You know, the Mike Evans matchup will carry a residual weight. The Bills as a whole, like, it's just so tough to bring that down to like one guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, also on the list for me is the Falcons game, but not in a typical one-on-one matchup of these two players playing against each other every play, but to see kind of what the foreseeable future of the NFC South looks like. Tyler Shuck, Mike Penix, who looks better? You know, who's the next of the new guard that's in control in that sort of sense of speaking. I think that's pretty important too in those games.
Yeah.
We're going to hit another break, and then when we come back, we'll have more show. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
I got hurt in a car wreck. Why should I get Gordon?
Because when you're hurt, you need money. And I fight for the people of Southeast Louisiana every day. I got a client who injured their neck in a car wreck, $250,000. Another client was hit by a big truck and needed back surgery. I got them $700,000, and they deserved every single penny.
That's what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't I get Gordon?
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, just call me, New Orleans. Get it done.
Call 504-800-8888.
If you're hungry and just want something that actually delivers on flavor, this is it. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant just dropped some new menu items, and they're legit. The Philly cheesesteak po' boy is loaded up right, and the Philly pasta brings the same flavor, but in a new way. And don't skip the fried green tomatoes. Crispy, and that crawfish sauce is no joke. Open every day, delivering late. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Delicious food, superior service. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back for more NOF. It is now time for the Get Gordon question of the day, presented by Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Today's question comes from USC Taylor. The question is, based on the salary cap, when can the Saints begin to go for that top free agent? Also, what do you think is Staley's dream free agent?
I mean, they could right now. They got 27 million in cap space or something like that. Like, they could go get someone right now. And the way they work their magic, I mean, they could go after top free agents next offseason, even though they're projected to start the season over the cap. The way you play these numbers, I mean, you can get those numbers way down in year one. So they can go after them anytime they want. Like, when should they? When will they beat to be going after it? I would say you should probably never go after top free agents, because they almost all bust and they almost all get overpaid and they almost all end up being bad deals. And that's how bad teams end up staying bad. You're usually better off finding good deals in the second wave and drafting well. That's really how you build a good team. Maybe a finishing piece here or there, but if you're trying to build your team through free agency, you're probably building your way to despair and not really ever finding your way out of it. But I mean, they could do that as soon as today if they wanted to.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking, you talk about those big free agents and kind of how they don't hit. I was thinking about Von Miller. I don't know why that name specifically stood out, but when he left Denver, he went to Buffalo. I mean, he had some contribution, but the name Von Miller just went away. That level of reverence and stuff that goes behind his name went away. And I just even had to think about, where is he right now? And I don't think he's on a team right now. He played for the Broncos, went to the Rams for a season, and was in Buffalo. But I think he may be a free agent still. So it's a lot that can go into that. It's a lot that can go into.
Obviously, like Drew Brees, that's the counter to this. There's exceptions to every role, but most of the time you aren't getting Drew Brees. You're getting Jadeveon Clowney. You're getting, guys that aren't hitting the way they used to. But yeah, I mean, there's difference makers out there, obviously, but I just don't think that should be your team building strategies, that you're going to go out and sign all these guys, because like they're going to end up being Jarvis Bird more times than not. And that's usually how they end up working out. Like, even trading for one, Jimmy Graham wasn't Jimmy Graham when he left. A lot of times it just doesn't play out the way you want it to. But then Randy Moss was a trade. Revis was a good hit for the Pats when they got him. Like, there's guys out there that can come in and make a major difference, obviously, but it's just usually it's not the best way to build your team. Like, you're in a much better position if you're drafting well and you're kind of adding, spice, or like the side meal comes in free agency. But if you're trying to go out there and get the rotisserie chicken, like you're paying, you're not paying a supermarket price. You're paying, someone that went and bought it and they're reselling it to you price.
Hey, at the time, not a top free agent by any stretch of the imagination, but Zach Bond, players like that.
Yeah, that's a wave 3 guy though. That isn't the most guaranteed money of all time.
Yeah,
new market setting contract. Like, that's not it.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. Even taking in consideration just what goes into
Trey Hendrickson.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know about that, but it worked out at the time. But right now, with the relationship that they have and how that's deteriorated, I'm not gonna lie. They caught him on the golf course the other day, and then they asked him about it. That might have been the most like eloquent and mature way I've ever heard anything explained in the history of everything. Just like the way he went about explaining that whole situation was kind of eye opening to, wow, bro, like this is really a business that goes into it, and you could see kind of like the hurt in his heart. But just going back to what free agents that Brandon Staley specifically would want to sign and be good, who do you think is that top player that if the Saints defense got would just turn things around so quickly?
I don't think there is just one. I mean, they need edge guys, but again, look, like Chase Young isn't, that's not a guy you sign and it changes the whole fortune of your franchise. Like he's a good player. He's a good guy to have around, but that's, kind of, and he wasn't even a big money free agent really. If somebody was out there that could change your fortunes as an edge guy, sure. I would like it, but let's say since he cuts Trey Hendrickson, like how old is Trey Hendrickson right now? He's like probably 30, right? He's not a young player.
No, I don't think he should be.
He's 30 years old. Yeah, I mean, so you bring him in, he's probably got 2-3 good years left, but are you in a position to where you should be doing that right now today? I would say no.
No.
I don't think you're in a position for it right now where it makes logical sense. That guy's a little bit too old, and I wouldn't do it yet. So I don't know. I mean, for me though, it would probably be the edge guy or the corner. I think those are the two guys that they really need. And if there was like going after Ward this offseason, like that made sense. He's a younger player. They still had Derek Carr at the time, so I think
money wise,
they kind of he's 28. He's a little bit younger. I guess even then that's a little bit long in the tooth. Like Justin Reed, when you take Derek Carr out of it, like my thought process about everything kind of changes a little bit. Like Justin Reed has played 8 NFL seasons, I believe. Like he's 28, 29. He's not an old player, but he's not young. And I feel like this team's probably 2 to 3 years away from being in a place where they can go compete. Now, you need players to build around. You need culture guys. I think he's going to be a great culture guy. I think he's going to be a great example setter. I think he's a good guy to bring in here behind Tyrann Mathieu. When Tyrann moves on, like he can kind of move into that leadership role. Like you need guys to build around. So I understand having a few of them, but just individually, like I think when you take Derek out of this, it changes the viewpoint of kind of everything and how you build the team and the approach and your timeline and all that. With Derek, you're trying to get there quick within the next year or two and be in a position to take advantage of that. Now that he's gone, I think your priority in your team building approach probably changes across the board. And I think some of their moves this offseason would have been different too had they known that this gentleman wasn't going to be part of their season.
Yeah, for sure. For sure the moves change. The way you operate changes just completely if it's known that he's gone earlier than what they found out. Just going back to kind of staying on that same note, actually, just what do you think the long-term ramifications of that is going to be, throughout the season?
Of what?
Of Carr retiring.
I don't know.
Okay. Because like in my mind, I think it's gonna continuously be like in the back. I don't know, because not the popular opinion, but just I think at one point it's gonna be brought up like, well, y'all wanted this guy gone and you've lost X amount of games. But I think it's just a process.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think. Well, I mean, sure, there's Derek Carr sympathizers and Derek Carr supporters and Derek Carr this and that. But I think no matter, I think if you take emotion and bias and all that stuff out of it, this is a team that's better off not pursuing that. So
hell yeah,
I'm sure there's people that are gonna. There's always gonna be people that say things. And look, the safest thing to do in sports is to take the opposite of what everybody else thinks, to be the counter person. Because like, let's just say for instance, you want to take the approach that Kevin Durant, whoever, you could just be, I don't want to play on his name.
That's my GOAT, man.
I don't want to play on his name. No, I think he's great. And I'm trying to make a point, but who do we want to pick? Who do we want to pick?
Jaylen Brown.
Justin Herbert, you can say he sucks and all this and he's overrated. And if you want to keep going down that path and stand on that hill, you're probably going to be right. You're probably going to be right, because probably not going to win a Super Bowl. Jordan Love, he stinks. Probably not going to win a Super Bowl. Like the odds are most guys aren't going to win a Super Bowl. And if you want to just have this take and just be, stand on it or whatever, like you're probably going to be right. You could say Kyle Shanahan sucks and you're probably going to be right, because he probably isn't going to win a Super Bowl. And we all know that Kyle Shanahan's like one of the smartest guys, one of the most influential people in the history of football, honestly, like offensive football, honestly, one of the most influential people. But if you want to say he sucks, you're probably going to be right. He's been right on the cusp a couple of times, but you're probably going to be right. And then if he wins one, you can just be like, well, he only won one. So you're still going to be able to stand up. Most people don't become Mahomes. Most people don't become Brady.
Yeah.
Most people don't become LeBron. Most people don't become Steph Curry. But for anyone else, like, you can just be like, this person sucks. And like that you're probably going to end up being right. If you want to be the person that says everything is wrong, you're probably going to be right, because there's only one way for you to not be wrong. And that's to win, not one, but two. Because anybody can win one. You just change your argument. Once they win two, you got to eat it. But you could just say that about anybody. And it's the cheapest trick in sports. They do it on TV every day for years. Two of them made a ton of money off it. Mileage just ran out on one. But like, you could just do that every single day for years. And like, it's on YouTube all over the place too. Like, it's just the safest take in the world. It's just to be like, this guy sucks. He's not good enough. And you're going to be right.
Yeah.
Because there's only one way to really be wrong. Like for Peyton Manning, like that was the thing with him forever. Oh, Peyton Manning sucks. And then he won. Well, he only won one. Then he got two, but it was at the end. And like, but for 15 years, you got mileage out of this topic, and you were right. And that's just the way it goes. I don't know what led me down that rant, but
no, I mean, it's a very successful rant, because you think about it, whenever it gets tight, you could just move the goalpost and still be right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the safest thing to do ever. I mean, it's the whole industry of the major network was built off that principle. That's just what you do. Like, so yeah, I'm sure people are gonna, be on the other side. There's always somebody on the other side of something, but yeah.
Yep. Well,
I don't know what the hell I was talking about.
Hey man,
but,
that was you just organically cooked right there. So there you go. That'll do it for this edition of New Orleans.Football. We appreciate you all for stopping in today. Catch you next time.